Howdy.
Welcome, everyone.
We're coming to you live from Smoking Hot Conservatives in the northwest part of Austin, Texas.
Savannah.
House.
Apparently, they're all conservatives.
They just don't vote. And that's what we're going to talk about
That's
today.
what we're going to talk about today. Voter turnout, you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us today. Super excited to be joined once again by Mr. Chip Howell of Elephant in the Room Strategies. We're going to talk a little bit about the Texas Republican primaries. We're going to talk a little bit about the Democrat primaries. We're going to talk about why you should vote in the primary. Okay, that's. I'm going to try not to be your mom for the rest of this.
So we have 4 days left in Texas for early voting. Tomorrow through Friday. Most poll locations are open 7 to 7, but you might double check with the county website just to make sure. And voting is interesting.
So you said the Democrats are outpacing Republicans in early voting. Is that correct?
That is what just about every leading news media in Texas is saying. I don't have the exact numbers. I could probably pull them up.
Yeah.
But they're saying that the first week of early voting last week, that the Democrats outnumbered the Republicans. And people are concerned. People are asking me about that.
Yeah, but isn't that pretty normal? Like conservatives, Republicans tend to want to vote on election day. A lot of people are, purists. They say, hey, here's the deal. Like,
I think that may be a contributing factor.
Okay.
I think one of the contributing factors this year is the U.S. Senate race here in Texas. And that you have 2 very public, very, I would think, controversial candidates in the Democrat primary, U.S. Senate. And they're facing they could be facing the incumbent, but the incumbent has 2 formidable candidates in his race in the Republican primary.
yes. So the Republican, though already in office, a incumbent said that seat is vulnerable, and that's kind of Texas, isn't it?
Well, I think that people see it as a vulnerable because of his length of service as in public service in general, but even so much in the Senate.
Well, then why isn't that the same for the Carter race?
I think that there's still the same kind of energy in the congressional race.
Okay.
So
So basically,
House District 31.
okay, so that's where we are. I personally vote. It's District 31. And so basically, it sounds like Texans are kind of feisty and like maybe want some change.
There's some out there that are like that. Yes, that are very much, they're looking at the length of service, the older candidates, looking for somebody new, somebody fresh, somebody that can stay in office for another 24 years.
Yeah. And contend with whatever the Democrats throw at us.
Correct.
So there's a poll. We're not going to talk about these races too much, but it is interesting. You really have a feeling about these races, you better get out and vote in primaries.
And vote in early, and then take people on election day to get to vote.
Yes, bring a friend, take some time off, schedule when you're going to go this week. So you said early voting is Friday?
That's correct.
So basically, then they have the weekend to count things, get ready for the next month.
For preparation for Tuesday's election, next Tuesday, the 3rd of March.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things, there's a lot of misunderstanding about the election. I'm not sure that we are good at communicating the process in Texas. We've got a lot of new Texans who don't understand the process and don't understand that we do things differently than other states.
I didn't know, for example, that Texas did runoffs,
Yes.
which surprised me a little bit. I mean, I guess I get the point, but I thought that's a thing that was like in blue states.
So we do runoffs. You do have to, the candidate has to get a majority of votes. And if they do not in the primary election, then that does generate a runoff. And it's a simple majority. It's 50% plus one vote.
Okay.
And so, and we're talking about the primaries in Texas. This is how we select our candidate. Each party selects the candidate that they're going to have on the ballot in the general election in November. And so one of the things when people are asking me, well, am I concerned about the turnout? As you said before, there's a lot of conservatives that they're real traditionalists, they want to vote on election day. Also, there's a lot of general voters that do not participate in the Republican or the Democrat primary. And so they will come out in the numbers. Now, it's not going to be like it's a presidential election. We won't have those numbers as great, but we'll still have a significantly higher number of turnout in November than we do in either primaries together.
So I'm going to ask you a tough question. You may not know a good answer, so I don't know. It's a fine question. I know a lot of people have felt insecure about elections in the last several cycles. And would you say, like, overall, that Texas elections are safe, fair, secure?
Okay, so there is potential for fraud and abuse in every election. It's just human nature. We have a very strong Secretary of State's office. We have very strong
Cleaning up the voter rolls, probably, hopefully.
yes. We do a pretty good job. You know, the ones where you see the most egregious concern, I guess, would be those larger counties that are maybe not as tightly close watching the elections as they should, or they may be a little more lackadaisical, a little more willy-nilly, if you say, with some of their.
Harris County.
Because Harris County, we did have some major legal issues that came up with the Harris County in past elections. But in Texas,
rowdy people with their freaking Uzis with the big wheels and all this stuff. I'm telling you.
But historically in Texas, it hasn't always been the larger counties, and we've seen it in the southern counties. That dates back to before I was like walking on this earth, or even crawling.
You know what, though? Actually, honestly, that just tells people even more. If you care about elections, you should get out and participate. Be a poll watcher, help with voting.
That's the reality of it. The more people that are voting, the harder it is to rig an election.
Yes. And if only 10 or 20% of people show up, then the numbers, you can watch them.
The main thing, and our founding fathers knew that. They knew that the more people voting, more participation, the less likely there's going to be any kind of corruption. It's harder for them for anybody to taint the results in any way.
Okay. Well, anybody out there watching, if you want to go ahead and put a question in the comment section for Mr. Chip Howell or myself, but Chip is our expert here. So put something in the comment section. I get YouTube comments right here in my stream. So if you're watching on YouTube, throw us a comment. Okay. So
we go back to the primary election that is on Wednesday, on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
How did I get that wrong?
Tuesday.
So
we're not in the UK. We won't get arrested for that.
We have 4 more days of early voting. We have election day on Tuesday. if a candidate that is in a contested race of multiple candidates, not just one other candidate, does not receive a simple majority of 50% of the votes plus one, then the top two candidates, no matter how many number two got,
Yeah.
will go into the runoff. And I don't have that date right off the top of my head.
So
It is in May, yes.
sometime in May.
Okay. It's in May.
Okay, so here's the serious conversation we have. This is going to be, so we're talking about the Senate race. We're talking about John Cornyn saying for reelection this year. So we've got John Cornyn, or whoever seeks to best him, if they are successful, will be running against either Jasmine Crockett or
James Tallarico.
That's what I'm like. I don't want to say his name. Say it again.
James Tallarico.
That's who she's. Tallarico.
Tallarico.
Tallarico. Okay. Now this race there has been a bunch of controversy. Of course, Jasmine Crockett is trying to pull the race card, saying that he's like calling people basic or something.
And she's become somewhat famous for calling our governor out as
Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels, yes. Which I love the fact that the governor, his campaign staff, capitalize on that, and you could actually get a Hot Wheels bumper sticker from the Texans for Greg and
You are
Abbott.
joking.
No,
That is amazing.
I have a few people that I already have in mind to get those stickers for.
I kind of need.
Yes, you do.
That is amazing. It was like that is, I will save my criticisms for Abbott another day, but I will say that I appreciate his media team and how they meme on people. I will give him kudos for that. Like that. Governor Hot Wheels. She's kind of, and it's interesting. I've seen a bunch of videos that compare her to what she was like when she was running for office before, when she was in the Texas State House, and how she acted, and how she acts now, and how she's got a black scent. People are accusing her of like sounding black, and that she's trying to, pander to people of color. And it's like, that's a good question. I will say, like, if you get me fired up, I will talk like a redneck. Okay, I am like red-blooded American redneck. Okay, and if I'm hyped up, the accent might come out. So is it that? Is she pandering?
It's a good
Can
question.
you even comment on that? Probably.
I don't. I'm not going to comment on something I don't really know. Who knows? But bless her heart.
She is wild though. She kind of is ratchet.
And I think she wants to be the new Texas AOC, and the fact that she is from Texas, and we're considered one of the most conservative states. I think that she's got a lot of followers because of that, and that's what you have to ask yourself: how much of this is just for following, being followed? We have in one of the House district races, we have a candidate that is not from the United States, is not born here, came here, got educated, is basically fresh out of grad school, has bought a home in one area that's not in the district that she's running.
Oh wait, can I say who it is?
Sure.
Is that the Valentina chick?
That is.
Yeah, dude. So this was one of the things I was really upset about when we were talking a little bit ahead of time, is that in Texas, there are no rules that say you don't even have to live in the district that you're running to represent. And in fact, you can have just barely moved there.
Let me correct you.
Okay.
That's not entirely true.
Okay, I might be
in our federal Congress.
Okay.
Our Congress members do not have to live in the area that they run or represent.
That's crazy.
Correct. In Texas,
Oh.
for the state house, the state senate, you do have to.
Well, yeah, because we have sense here in Texas.
And that actually goes back to Tallarico.
Okay.
because Tallarica was living in House District 52.
Okay.
And he felt, after redistricting, he felt like he would do a better job in a different House district. So he moved into that other House district to run.
Is it even close to where you lived before?
Oh, yeah, they're bordering House districts.
Okay.
So it wasn't just a completely huge move,
Yeah,
but
like across
it
the
did
state.
move from Williamson County, traditionally very red, to Travis County, and we all know where Travis County stands. And even the area that he lives in, that community, I guarantee you, is far more conservative than it actually turns out to be.
They probably
And I'm
just
knocked
think
on
that
those
there's,
numbers.
they probably just think those are the people who think there's no hope.
Well, I talk about this a lot, and this is really the Republican Party has got to be very clear in understanding that we cannot repeat the message of the left.
What's that?
So decades ago,
Tell the audience.
there was a commentator columnist named Molly Ivins from Austin, and she was pretty popular among leftists, and she's passed away now. However, she came, as far as I can tell, she's the first one that used the term that Austin was the blueberry in the tomato soup of Texas.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yes, but most of us accredit that to a former Republican governor because he used to say it all the time. So that's what I mean. We cannot be taking their words because all that has done is it has created a larger blue majority in Travis County. It's taken out Republican candidates, Republican office holders in Travis County because the voters feel disenfranchised and they feel like their vote does not count, does not matter. So they stop going and voting.
Well, and you know what? I don't know if it's like this in the Texas State House, but I was chatting with Janet Metz, who is the chairwoman of the Chittenden County GOP and in Vermont. And she was saying that some of the Republicans in the State House had voted along with the Democrats on an anti-ICE bill. And it's because they're afraid. She said, I can't fundraise. I can't do anything because our candidates are cowards and no one wants to get the money if they won't stand up.
Voter intimidation looks very, very different in different places. And what can be considered voter intimidation, it happens all the time. Voter intimidation happens all the time. We see it not just at the polling locations. We see it in, I remember when I first got involved politically, we had a Democrat congressional member. They elected him when I didn't live there while I was off at school. And I moved back. I did everything I can to help get the Republican against him. But at that time, the Democrats would go put signs in yards. They wouldn't ask permission. And some of that still happens today on both sides. And that's because it was a seated congressman, people were afraid to remove the sign from their yard or say anything about it. So just because a family had a sign for a candidate in their yard didn't mean that they were supporting it. And that is wrong.
How is that not trespassing? Whatever. I would be, you know what? I might even report it if it was not my candidate. Even if it was my candidate, I'd still report it. Don't do that. Yeah. This is my lawn, bro.
Yeah. Ask me permission. I'm going to give it to you, most likely. Unless I'm not going to support you, or for some reason I can't support you because of another candidate, my relationship with another candidate. That's
why.
I will tell you, there are some candidates that I vote for. I've already voted, but the first day of our voting last week. And there are some candidates, I love all the candidates in that race. But I had a personal choice and I went with it.
Yeah.
But neither one of their signs will be in my yard.
That's interesting. Say more about that.
Well,
What do you, when you say neither
You know-
of their signs, it's like, oh, because, well, you can't say, you're not allowed to have an opinion, right?
Well, I'm allowed to have a personal opinion.
Well, yeah, but not that you can share publicly,
Oh,
right? Because of your job.
to a certain extent, yes. You know, um, I end up having to work with whoever gets elected, and so I want to be able to have a good relationship with them. And there's sometimes that I make choices that I'm not going to outwardly express my favoritism to one candidate over the other, because I want to be able to work with both of them.
You know, that makes a lot of sense.
And nothing wrong with that. Yeah, because again, and I don't care who wins. I'm going to work with them. It's my job. You
Yeah.
know? Now, not everybody operates that way, and some elected officials probably won't work with me for
Really?
whatever reason.
I was trying to get the camera closer. Sorry, you guys. I'm messing with this. It was a bad. I should have just left it well enough alone. Don't hate.
But yeah, I can put a sign in my yard of who I support. And there's several. That's one of the great things about the primary races, and something that I said that I wanted to talk about, is that some of the races, all the candidates are great. For example, the Attorney General's race in Texas.
Oh yes, stay tuned, you guys. Because I'm gonna do. Hold on. I'm going to do a debate recap on the AG race. I watched the debate. First of all, why aren't all the races doing debates? I'm upset about that. That's a whole other tangent that I could go off. Please finish. Please finish.
So all four candidates for the Texas Attorney General, I believe, are highly qualified and will do a great job. I do have a personal favorite, and I voted for that individual, and that's okay. But like I said, all four are good candidates, and what a great thing that we have when we come to a place where we have great candidates.
Yeah.
And when it does become difficult to choose who the nominee will be in November, and I guarantee that race will be one that will go into a runoff, because they are all such good candidates. And again, they bring their own different personal traits, experiences to the position, and that's what you have to make your decision on when you have such great candidates.
Yeah.
But that's part of the primary process too. This is a part where we learn more about the candidates that could be on the ballot in November, and we decide which ones fit the role better, which would do a better job, which has the same likeness and ideology that we do, or maybe they all have the same ideology for the most part. Because you mentioned that you mentioned the comptroller's race, they all sound like they've got the same message.
Yeah.
But how they will operate and how they will implement, again, all three qualified candidates, but how they will treat that office is very significant in what the decisions that we make and who we want to put up as the nominee for the party.
Yeah. And so can we get back to the Senate race?
Yes.
So I'm assuming the pollers and pundits are all saying that we should elect Cornyn to as the Republican, because with name recognition and everything, he probably has a better chance of winning against the Democrat. Do you know? I'm curious. I wonder if we can look this up. How he fared in his last election. Again, like, was he close to the Democrat?
That was so long ago.
I know. I'm gonna Google that while you say whether or not.
So, you have an experienced senator in top leadership in the Senate. He is in top leadership.
Yeah.
And that gives an incumbent a lot of resources and a lot of strength in moving forward with his role in the Senate. And that's I don't know what the pollsters and the pundits say,
because some of them are also looking at his maturity, and 6 more years is a long time. Now, if we go back, Senator Cornyn was a district judge. I don't remember much further back than that. And then he was Attorney General for the state of Texas prior to the current governor.
Yep.
And he was very successful and very strong as an Attorney General here in Texas, and was very well liked. And so when the opportunity came for him to run for Senate, he was a very strong candidate for that. But there's a lot of on the far right who think that he has not done Texas right, that he's not been conservative enough, and so that is why I believe he's gotten a couple of that at his age is why he's received the vulnerability status, I guess, of the race, in which you have a strong statewide elected current attorney general running against him, and then a congressman who is like, he says we need another choice, and that's exactly what Wesley Hunt has said. So we need another choice.
Oh, Wesley Hunt, he's the black dude.
Yes,
They've been running ads about him. It's got to be.
That would be interesting to see him and Crockett up against each other.
All the ads I'm getting are like, Wesley Hunt's not MAGA. He hates MAGA. Blah. Like,
yeah, but he was the first one to come out and endorse Donald Trump when other Republicans wouldn't.
Really? Oh, and they say, this is what they say, that he voted for Hillary Clinton in 2008. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, there's a lot. You cannot. I voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016. I wrote him in. Because I was mad. Wait, was it 2016?
I don't know, but the 2008, that needs to be fact checked.
Well, also, right, 2008, not 2008. Whatever date it was, whatever year they said that voted for her. I used to be a liberal, okay? And now I'm a hardcore conservative. You cannot hold against me crap I did 20 years ago, okay? You just can't.
Yeah, I think that, so if you talk about 2008, which I'm not sure that that's the date either, how did you know that he voted for Hillary?
Well, that's a good, maybe he said it.
Yeah,
Maybe
unless he had said that, and I will tell you, I'm very open with my voting record. The very first primary election that I was allowed to vote in, even though I was 18 in the 1988 primary election, back then you had to be 18 and you had to be 18 to register to vote, and then we had the 30-day window. And so I was 18, but I was still within that 30-day window of getting registered on time to vote. So it wasn't until 1990 that I was able to vote in a primary election. And I went and voted in the Democrat primary because I wanted to vote against Ann Richards twice. By that time I was 20, but I thought that was a smart thing to do.
I mean,
and I know who I voted for. I voted for Charles Brown.
People do that kind of stuff all the time. People do that kind of stuff all the time to try to manipulate what ends up on the ballot.
I have grown up. Well, I didn't think that would affect the ballot, but I've heard it was a personal.
Yeah, that's very funny. That is very funny. But I interrupted you.
No, it's okay.
They should.
So I've grown up and matured and understand the process better now. I voted in every Republican primary since.
Yeah, I've woken up. I woke up. I now have not voted for any. I might have had to vote for a Democrat in Vermont because maybe one Democrat, like literally the only options for city council are Democrats, and you have to vote for the one who's less of a psycho. That's what living in Vermont is like, y'all.
We have that in city elections here as well. But sometimes the person that's going to do the job does. It's not necessarily someone who votes in our primaries.
Yes. Okay, so just for the record, I looked it up. In the last election in 2020, John Hornan 53% to 43% in the Democratic vote. So what's that? So 10 points, basically.
Yeah, it's 10 points there that you probably can do the math and figure that doesn't add up to 100%.
Yeah.
That's because there will probably some independents, Green Party, Libertarian, and they do their primaries differently in
Yeah.
Texas. So that's something else to consider. However, you cannot vote in the Republican primary and go participate in another party's convention.
Yes.
So if you are libertarian and you want to go to the Libertarian Convention, which is where they select their candidates to go on the ballot in November, you better not vote in the Republican or Democrat primary. We had an interesting issue last election cycle in 24, where we had a candidate running for State Board of Education in Texas, District 10, which is the one I live in, you live in, and vote in. And he registered to be on the Republican, the Democrat, the Green, and the Libertarian ballots. And
You can do that?
not legally, it happened. And, he wasn't going to he might have ended up on the Libertarian or the Green Party one because of the lack of participation in those parties.
Yeah.
But he would have been thrown out by the November ballot and would not have been able to be on the ballot.
Well, and if the Libertarian Party could stop infighting ever, maybe they could do something. I know technically they are not, on the same side as the Republicans, but like they
We're
could probably,
closer aligned than.
well, and that's the thing is like in places like Travis County, maybe it's easier to get a Libertarian elected than a Republican. I'm not saying it is, but
Actually, that has been quite the opposite.
really,
Yes, Travis County has had a number of Libertarian candidates, and oftentimes they would siphon off enough of the conservative vote that the Democrat won without a majority. Because in November, you don't have to have a majority.
well, if people should just cooperate. That's what I'm saying. People should just like where resources are limited and we have to have a united front. Let's just pick whoever the best candidate is.
Right. And if your guy or gal does not win the primary or the runoff, get behind whoever, because I guarantee they'll be better than the opposition in November.
Correct. Oh my gosh. Okay.
But thank you.
Okay, so 10 minutes. What do we need to say to wrap up?
Go out and vote. Do your homework, do your research, find out which candidates that you best align with, and get out and vote. And like I said, vote sometime in the next 4 days during early voting, so that on Tuesday of next week, March 2nd, March 3rd, day after Texas Independence Day, you go and take your friends who have not voted yet to go out and vote.
You heard it here. You heard it clear. Mr. Chip Howell, Elephant in the Room Strategies, breaking it down. Oh, we're going to have a recap after the primaries.
After the primaries, and we'll have to discuss runoffs.
Ooh.
See who's in the runoff. Stay tuned to see who's going to be in the runoff.
And stay tuned for my coverage of the AG debate. I'm going to look for anything on these other races. If they did any debates, it's not coming up in my initial Google search, but I'm going to do what I can for you guys because, it's interesting. It's interesting. I have some opinions that I'm going to share. All right, you guys. We will see you next. Oh, give a shout out. Who sponsors?
So we do have our Goodnight Living vodka here that sponsors us. Our Nathan cigars. We have many other sponsors. Go out to our website to find them.
Check it out. What's the website?
ElephantandRootStrategies.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.